Oh, yeah. Right?
What is it, this, there's something going on.
I know one.
The Florian was talking about, you know.
I know.
it's in-
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I figured it with folks.
Test.
Okay. All right, I will call the meeting to order at 4:02. Have several wonderful guests tonight. We want to start off early with Supervisor for Springfield, Galen. He's here with Henry to talk about the way to vote issue. So I think we'll wait for our regular agenda until we have a conversation so that we don't waste any of your time. So please, please tell us what your thoughts are.
So just to update you, initially we were planning in Springfield to do two laws, pass two local laws. One to address the wakeboard votes and another one to address the wake zone.
Yeah.
And after some thinking and talking to different people and whatnot, we're just gonna do one law, and it's just gonna be the wake zone law. And we're gonna expand our wake zone from a current level of 200 feet to 300 feet. But you have to understand, Springfield, and I'm gonna have Henry jump in whenever he wants to explain it better. We have a lot of wetlands up there in shallow water. So some of those wave zones are gonna be 375 feet, even bigger than that, right?
Yeah, they could go to 500 feet from the golf course. We're trying to correlate it to, the depth. And that's what slows us down a little bit. If you get contours for one or the other, but not usually the end, a lot of them thing happens. Field stations happen, helping us with that. So the minimum, will be 375 feet, the town has 75 feet in its zoning code that it regulates anyways. And then we would be adding 300 foot on normal spots, and that would be 300 feet from the, where the DEC, if you look at the DEC map of the green part on the north part, west part of the lake, be 300 feet depth from that. So that'll be, that could be like about 600 feet out. And then they come around and it's base kind of big saddle, so our 300 feet will see. Well, because we have both sides, we have really 600 feet.
Yeah.
Um,
And we did, he's working on it for some girls helping me arrange for me.
oh,
The overlay of the two, grass and charts that'll show the water depth as you move out, so the wake zone is 375 feet. Around Springfield, we can see what the depth of the water is there. You guys, I would me too. We want at least 20, 30 feet of water. And if a wakeboard is gonna operate it.
Yeah, I guess my question is, how would you ever enforce that? And why did you step back on the wakeboard boats?
Well, we didn't want to ban them. We don't want to ban a certain type of boat. We think that could potentially lead to, liability, litigation. These
Would you-
consumers have rights. People that bought these boats, they were never told, like 2 years ago, say one bought them. They were never told that, these
Well-
things are illegal.
Another part was this one, after your mark, or the March meeting or whatever. It read as it was more of a silky disturbance of the bottom issue than it was, the,
Bells.
temperature, the bottom. And, we didn't know that until this, less than a week ago, that was an issue.
But we think the wakeboard law that we're putting in addresses the wakeboard boat issue without actually naming wakeboard boats and banning them. I think it does the job, because I'll listen to what you guys have to say on that matter, but you think that will address the issue, get them in deep enough water. And, and the other issue you guys might have is we do have our Springfield launch, which is only for town residents, but town residents go out and buy one of these tomorrow, right? As it stands now, we haven't had, we didn't have any last year that either launched or used our boat slips. We have 31 boat slips, and we also let town residents launch their boats. And there's none on the books right now. We do have one resident in town who has a wakeboard boat, but they live right on the lake, so, on the other side, across from public landing. So, as far as you guys want, I know Cooperstown banned launching wakeboard boats, correct? I don't think we are gonna do that as yet. If you guys wanna try to get us into that, maybe we listen. But like I said, only town residents can do that, but the Cooperstown building is open to the general public, anybody can launch down. Right?
The other point is that it's not just these kind of boats that cause disturbance to the bottom. You've got 250 horsepower pontoon boat with 15 people on it. So I don't want to do that. So we wanted to get all of boats instead of going after one boat and then dealing with that issue. Because we were dealing with the issue of the surface bottom. And the waves that eat away at that lakeshore, that was my understanding. So just one the other day, Dr. Henry, thinking about it from Michael.
I think it's worth noting too that the difference between pontoon boats and wakeboard boats is the fact that the wake boats are specifically designed to focus your thrust toward the bottom, not horizontal to the bottom. So they force the
Right. That's why in deep water, 375 feet minimum wake zone. I don't, taking the bottom from 40 feet up is better than, 7 feet.
it's better, but it's not great.
Yeah,
Well, I think it
It's-
doesn't need to be that.
Well, I think the video that circulated specifies that pretty well, more so than I can recall. But the videos they show at the bottom in 30 feet of water are pretty substantial, pretty horrendous.
yeah.
We get up about 40 feet, 50 feet.
Can I just want to contribute something to the dilemma. You're trying to find out how far you can go, to what depth you can
Yeah.
go, right? So we have this Attorney General's opinion that might be of interest to you that came from the state of New York and involved a jurisdiction down on Long Island, but the Attorney General said that municipalities that are riparian to water bodies have authority 1,500 feet perpendicular from their fast land to into the water for the purpose of regulating boat traffic. So we can get that to you. So if the goal, if Matt comes up with the depth from your perspective, and we obviously have different perspectives and our law is going to do more in different things, but to get the lake as much coverage and protection as we can. I think what I'm trying to get at is you can maybe find yourself in that shallow arm of the lake going more than 375 feet and still having authority to do it out to 1,500 feet and then seeing what kind of depth you finally reach there. I mean, that overall arm of the lake is relatively shallow.
But it is a narrow lake, we do 1,500, 4,000 feet wide. I mean, not that, I have a problem with that, but I mean, did they make a complaint that there's no room for them to operate both that?
Well, that's, go ahead.
No, I'm thinking, I'm visualizing that little strip down the center of the lake, going back.
We have looked at these maps where there've been efforts on certain lakes to have these grid zones where boats are permitted to go. I mean, they're not marked, but they're identified. And the question is there any place on our lake where that really works? Probably beyond your jurisdictional limits, in the dead center of the lake maybe, but what we're trying to, as much authority as each municipality has to protect the lake bed, protect the shoreline from these impacts, we'd like to make sure you understand the full extent of your authority. And it would be up to your town attorney to read this opinion and let you know. But I think, have you circulated
I
it?
did send it, I guess the other thing I'm thinking is that, first, our responsibility is to protect the watershed. And at the public meeting on Monday night in the village of Cooperstown, we have 3 scientists standing up and talking about, it isn't just the churn pot, it's invasive species, it's creating an environment for more of them to grow and be a problem in the lake. So I think we have to, our role is to protect the lake. And to make sure we do whatever we can to protect the lake. And those particular boats, just by all the scientific evidence that's been documented, has a really deleterious effect. Much more than motorboats, pontoon boats, or any of the rest. And you're right, maybe someday we might have to say certain motorboats can't do it as we learn more, but these have really been studied. And I think to not listen to the scientists and try and make us as safe as we can be, I would worry more about that.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, I talked to, he wasn't a representative from a boat manufacturer. I told you the guy from Minnesota, from the Twin Cities. He was like some kind of a lobbyist, I guess.
Yeah.
Recreational boat, something, And I talked to him and he said Lake Minnetonka, which is a different lake, way bigger. But that's the big lake in the Twin Cities, and there's, they had this issue there in Wisconsin, they have it in Minnesota. And they wanted these, people wanted to ban these wakeboarding boats, and there was hundreds of them on the lake in Minnetonka. So they chose to go with this 300-foot wake zone. And that's how they attacked, instead of naming that boat in particular and banning it. I think they were afraid of 200 people getting together, bringing a big lawsuit. They did the 300 feet wake zone. They did that a couple of years ago. He says it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's a different lake, different depths and all that. I understand that. But, I think we want to go in that direction.
Would you feel more comfortable as an idea of talking about what that particular boat does that you would not accept versus saying wakeboard boat or whatever it is? Maybe we talk about what it does that harms the lake, and you can't do that on our lake. Would that be easier?
Yeah, well, remember I sent you guys an email a week ago saying, don't ban the boat, but ban the usage of it in certain zones. And maybe we have one zone that forehand and forward could agree on, where it's deep, it's away from the edges of the lake, where people can operate it there, and they can engage their wakeboarding component. And then the second they leave that zone, they have to turn the wakeboarding component off, and it becomes a normal boat then, and which they can do, that, right? They can be normal boats.
Oh, yeah.
And when the 2 people I know that have them, they said 85% of the time, that's how they use the boat. Because when their kids are around, they want to do the wakeboarding, but, I don't know, is that something, you can listen to, or you pick the zone in the middle of the lake? I don't think it's hard to enforce.
Well,
This guy.
There's a few things here. There's the behavior of the boat while on the lake, but my comment the other night was more specific to the introduction of this kind of boat to this lake. Anytime we bring a boat from a different water body, there's some risk
Yes.
of bringing in invasive species. If you do a risk assessment of this situation, not all boats are created equal. And it just so happens that wake boats have a huge, they are huge tanks of water. And it is much less likely to make that boat safe for entry because the water inside the boat has creatures that we don't, yeah, so like,
I know,
yeah.
to move a wakeboard boat, very, to move one from one lane or a river to
Yeah.
here, back and forth, they have to be empty.
But they can't be fully empty, Galen.
Well, that's, I didn't finish it.
Oh, sorry,
Ballast.
sorry.
That's the issue you guys have, is that there's still a little leftover in there, right, that you're worried about.
More than a little.
Yeah, even when you empty it, the whole thing.
What do you know about that matter? Yeah,
That's what I understand, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I just read that paper and it didn't refer specifically to the ones with the bags because they just couldn't access the ones where they had built-in tanks. But they found that they all had leftover water, they averaged about 8 gallons per boat.
That was left over.
Yes, after they had fully.
With
pumped
a
it out.
normal, just empty
Now,
job.
the author did make the note that like, it sort of depends on how much the owner is engaged in really trying to move the bag, and get all the water out, but it's a substantial amount of water, it probably can pretty well.
Okay. Now, this is bass fishing boats is different? Or
Yeah.
tournaments they have?
Yeah, those boats are supposed to clean and dry. The procedure is clean and dry the holding water tanks. What I know is on a wake boat, we can't dry because it's an internal tank, I believe. It's a ballast tank. The other ones are like a bait tank on the, that's just an open top, you can empty the water out and dry it. Air dry it anyway.
I have never been on one of these boats and as we're all saying, not all wake boats even, certainly not all boats are created equal, but not all wake boats are created equal. And it occurs to me to wonder, are there different kinds of pumps? That if the boat were outfitted with a pump of a certain, like I have a hand pump that I use on my kayak because it has a portion of it that's very hard to get the water out of. If I flip it over, it won't all come out.
Yeah, you're guess out.
Yeah, so I pump it and then I use sponges and then I pump it again. But that's hand pump and then I don't play my kayaks anywhere, I mean, this lake, I have other kayaks for that. But I'm wondering if there is a way that certain of these boats could be outfitted with. Well, you just pumps that do this. I mean, I'm feeling like we don't know enough about what could be done. I didn't read the article yet, Jake. But yes, if there's 8 gallons of water left in there and people are doing the best that they can. That's certainly, and they've been somewhere else and then they come here, that's certainly a problem. If somebody only keeps their boat on this lake and then takes it out and puts it at Sam Smith's and bring it back again and just keeps it here. That's sort of a different condition, I would think,
Sure.
than,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to guarantee that.
the invasive, that's
Right.
yeah, and yet, with some of these aspects of it, we're all trying to figure out and then how to enforce, right? What do you do? If somebody says, just keep it at Sam Smith's, well, we can see if that's true, they'll tell us, but. Enforcement will be tricky for any of these things, and. Middlefield and Otsego have different issues because we don't have launch.
Yeah.
With anybody launching these boats in either of our towns. Is either launching it from private property, their own property, or in Otsego from Sam Smith's perhaps.
Yeah.
So that's a different thing than. You village and.
Well, do we have a record?
Your own.
We have a record of how many people that live here in the area own wakeboard boats. Initially, it was told it was 4 or 5. And then I heard Sam Smith's alone stores about 5 or 6 over the winter time. And so it could be 10, like I'm gonna say about 10.
Hmm.
Is there any way we can get some sort of, agreement for them that they can only operate that boat in this lake? Or is that just wishful thinking? trusting these guys, they're gonna be in the same lines next week with it, you know? I don't know, something along those lines, you know, they've been talking hundreds of these, we got 10. You might be able to pull that off. You know, the 2 people I know, they just use it here, but you know, who knows about the others? Well, where someone comes up with a wakeboard boat from New Jersey in 2 weeks, they can't launch at Cooperstown, right? That's all. They can't launch at my place unless they're a resident of Springfield. Where are they gonna launch? You know, they're gonna go to, you know, some of the marinas in Springfield right
I
now.
got
Here,
3 marinas and Sam's, so it's 4 places.
they can go there. We have the authority with those guys at all. To not let them launch. I don't know, I'm not saying I'm a fan of not letting it launch. But
You know, part of this law and this whole effort is to create a culture of lake protection. So the idea is you're not welcome with these boats. These boats are damaging to our lake, in which we have all a common concern. So that is one kind of level of discouragement, irrespective of how effective enforcement is. And so that's what we're trying to do. So whether you have jurisdiction to enact a law that would prohibit private businesses from launching into the lake, that's a question. I mean, you have zoning authority, you have I don't know the answer to that, but at least to jawbone these, say, look, you're going to be launching a lot of boats. All of these boats create risks to the lake if they're importing ballast water of any sort, whether they're a wake boat or not. And say, you know, we're asking you to do everything you can to not make money off of that aspect of your business.
right.
Isn't it sort of like secondhand smoke?
Right.
Where we said to people, sorry, we can't let people smoke here. Because it's for everybody else's benefit, not yours.
Well, I think that the number one thing we said this back at the meeting at the biological station like a month and a half ago. Just the already the publicity from this, the talk of it. You know, the Village of Cooperstown, that, you know, as their public hearing, we had ours, we're gonna have to finish ours, we still have ours open. Is the information's getting out there, that these boats aren't great for the lake. That's worth something, you know, I don't know how easily it's gonna be enforced, I think we know that. It's just like you kind of said, the publicity's getting out there, and that's a good thing, you know? And maybe we put up a sign in our marinas, the private ones in town. That these boats are, you know, strongly discouraged, you know. We're not banning them, but like, you know, and, you know, as far as the 10 people that own these boats, we reach out to them and get in touch with them. And say, listen, you gotta leave that boat in this lake, you can't go anywhere else, we don't trust the whole balance situation. Is that something we can do, or is that something I could ask a lawyer, you know?
I guess I guess I don't know how to say it. I'll just say how I feel. I don't want to be part of an organization that knows something's dangerous and doesn't do all we can to prohibit it. I gotta say, you know, I feel like it's my job.
I hear you.
I think that,
I think we all-
let me finish now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna listen to the scientist. Dr. Richmeyer is very passionate about this as well. Your own member on this committee. So I don't know if we can, I don't know. I'm struggling with it, just like you are, in a different way.
Well, I mean, what Cooperstown passed the other night, they're banning anything with a greater than 12-inch wake, correct? Right. What's the difference between that? Well, there's a difference, but with us doing it 375 feet or even more of a wake zone, getting out there in deeper water, I don't know, what's the difference there, you know?
Well, again, it's not just the wicks of the rising problem, it's the force of
The downward,
the thrust. Instead of going horizontal, it's.
but the horizontal is still like a pontoon boat, 15 feet wide. It's, you know, it's pushing water, that's gonna go.
And it's true, and that can impact the shoreline, but it's not impacting the bottom.
Right, well, shoreline is just as important as the bottom.
No, it's not, though. The shoreline is stable because it's normally getting wave action. The bottom is soft muck and it's not subjected to thrust normally.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
the 40, 50, sorry, Jake, go ahead.
No worries, I'm sorry, Dan.
Well, I was thinking the 40, 50 feet, you don't have a depth, right? Even if it was 100 feet, that's not good enough.
I think it is a complicated question, just to follow up on that. So like, in terms of like the science that's been done, like what they found is that it definitely had to do with like not only the type of boat, but the operation. And there's sort of, they describe it as sort of two different ways you think of it, like there's wakeboarding and then there's wake surfing.
Yeah.
Wake surfing is a much more destructive activity, and with that, they found that at 500 feet, the wave energy was still 3 times like on plane boat at 200 feet. So, yeah, I generally agree that like there is a safe depth, but it's a complicated issue. They have to do with like Bill had said the other night, you know, it's moves to the water and then it depends on what that whole contour is as it approaches the shore.
But for Chief, back to your point, you know, like I said, I don't, what we're proposing and what Cooperstown just did. I don't think is that, they're not banning the boat either. It sounds like you want me to ban the boat, and so I banned the boats in Springfield, I'm not taking this seriously enough, that's the impression I'm getting from you.
No,
They didn't ban the boat either.
no, I'm not, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that if I listen to the scientists, if I listen to the experts, then it changes my mind in terms of how strict we are about what we do. So I guess for each municipality, they have to figure out what is the safest thing we can do. And if I listen to Matt, who's passionate about this, if I listen to Florian, if I listen to Jacob, even Paul Lord, I'm worried. And that's all.
So you're not happy with they passed it?
No, no.
Tell me.
No, I'm not saying that. I think the village did all they could with the authority they have in the area that they have. They did what they could here. So they're not gonna let anybody launch who has one. So that's big. That's big. They're not, you know, they took a lot of action based on the information, in my view.
So you want us to ban launching it? Is that what I'm trying to see what you're
Yes.
getting at, what do you want us to do?
I'm not trying to, go ahead, Gary.
I'm just wondering if this information that we've all talked about and hear from everybody that has authority to speak on this subject, there was money to be spent on advertising and enlightening the public. So it's a pushback, not making any law changes, but constantly in their faces so they become aware of what we're aware of and trying to do. And then they can jump on board without telling them to do that. They want to do that because we've advertised to them, this is the way for the future, not for us people, but for the young people.
Mhm.
It's so well.
May I ask a clarifying question? For Springfield Landing, were you prepared to legislate prohibiting the launch of wake boats from Springfield Landing by residents?
We haven't considered it, we don't have any, you know, but that can change, you know that.
Right.
Some guy can bring one up from Walmart, right to the jury. That's why we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean-
That's what you want from us.
Well, the thing, it's not, this is really a collaboration. It's not kind of a mandate situation, but if you enact legislation saying nobody can launch a wakeboard boat or whatever the definition is from Springfield Landing, you know, that's the sleeves off your legislative vest. It's not happening now, but it will prevent it from happening in the future. Nobody's there.
Listen to.
Okay.
To that, right?
Yeah,
Man, launch it.
they have to deal with the other three.
I know.
Can't do just one, you gotta do them all, or it's stupid.
I'm sorry. So there are 3 that do launch?
Yeah, Ace High.
No. Well, we have, I don't mean to interrupt, I'm sorry, but we have that same dilemma. We have 2 launch sites
Yeah.
here. We can only do what we have authority over. So we chose to have a big choke point. There's no question that controlling these 2 launch points is a substantial benefit to the lake.
Yeah,
If you can control your public landing,
okay.
that's another
I mean,
step.
I think you're kind of confident we have it controlled, but, you know, past and future, you know, that could change, we have 3 people moving to town and vote, so. It sounds like you guys want us to ban the launch with that, and that's something we could consider, sure, you know?
Bill, what do you think?
Right, and it was a tool, for us, it was a tool because we have these facilities and we have jurisdiction over them. So it was an act we could take that's really, you know, inherent in our legislative authority.
Yeah.
And it is the public landing for the town of Springfield. I think you're analogous. I don't know your legal situation, but I assume you're analogous legally to what we are here. And even more so because I think we have, I don't know if you get state funds to operate your landing. We get some state funds for our parks, but not, so it's, the question is, what is our regulatory authority? How far can we take it? And we think the health and safety aspect of our delegated authority from the state of New York and the public water supply gives us, some room to make these decisions. And the question is, as part of this consortium, the Watershed Supervisory Committee, what does this town of Springfield want to do to the greatest extent?
So Galen, this language from the village is, it shall be illegal for any person to operate a wakeboard boat that creates a wave exceeding 12 inches from trough to crest on Otsego Lake within the jurisdiction of the village of Cooperstown, if all 4 entities did that.
But, Florian, what do you guys think of 375 feet versus 12 inches? One more effective.
I defer to that.
I think it more effective, I think maybe more enforceable is a better question. I think an awful lot of effort is being made, or at least proposed, to allow behavior that's destructive to the lake. And when so many people are spending so much money and effort to protect the lake, it seems kind of counterproductive to me to make concessions to allow some people to recreate the way that's damaging to the lake.
We have the 12-inch. We're not involved.
Already, yeah.
Yeah, but again, you can enforce that, whereas you can't enforce what's going on underwater.
Not well understood. But that is really not what was really. The standard.
I think what Springfield's suggesting as far as extending their wake zone makes so much sense, because anybody who grew up on this lake knows about Sandy Beach and the shallowness at the north end of the lake. What do you see? You see the buoys. Those buoys are just positioned such that they're in deeper water. It's much more recognizable by anybody who's in the boat, maybe who's less familiar with the lake. When we were talking the other night at the village board meeting, people were saying, well, it's be 30 feet deep. And I'm thinking, I don't have a depth finder on my boat. I have a hard time with that concept. I suddenly can't see the bottom. When am I at 30 feet?
Right.
That's a much more nebulous, putting those buoys out there. It doesn't matter if ours are at 250 and yours are at 350, it's defining the shoreline and the no wake zone. I think.
And
that's what they're-
banning the launch,
I'm sorry.
and banning the launch of that.
Well, I'm just speaking now to this, we did that, and that's certainly
Yeah.
not your view, but I think what they're suggesting. With the shallowness of
No, but according to this guy, it's gotta be 1,000 feet deep, Mariana Trench to operate this thing,
There you go.
It doesn't say that.
To the ocean.
Listen, I'm a believer, I saw that video. And I realized that if we didn't have this lake, it'd be like Carlisle, Sharon Springs, nothing wrong, nothing against those places, but
Without good water.
the lake is extremely important, I get it.
Yeah.
And I want to protect it. But, I don't want to sound like I'm afraid of lawsuits. I represent the town of Springfield, and if we ban the boat themselves, now, these guys didn't do it, so that helped. You might have a problem there, you might have a problem. Because it's a consumer has rights.
I'm gonna give it about 5 more minutes.
Just
Go
want to
ahead.
add something. Made the point earlier that there's a big educational part of this missing for the general population. And we need to do something about that. When I took my boaters, course, I don't remember talking about anything like this at all.
Right.
And I certainly, until I saw the film from Minnesota, which is Michigan, one of the two, where they both have I mean, it's so overwhelming, and that needs to become part of what people know about if they're gonna take the responsibility of running a boat at any kind of speed at all on a lake, almost anywhere. And we just don't have that yet, but we need to get it. But I do think that the principle of having this be for the health of the water of the lake really has to be the driving force and why we make these decisions.
Which we feel strongly we can
Well, then
defend
you
in
should
court.
just ban all.
Yeah, that's it. You know, that's where it's going.
The book that is out, like, that doesn't work.
Right, but that's, I think that's a.
Wait.
That was tried.
Wait, just wait a minute. I'm gonna listen to the scientists. Go ahead, Maureen.
I don't, yeah, I mean. The boats are different. We can't just paint them all with the same brush. I mean, from a risk assessment standpoint, I mean, we use motors to do our monitoring of the lake. We're not like talking about motorless at Seago here. You know, again, there is a different level of risk with these kinds of boats. Both in terms of the water they bring in and whatever the heck's in that water and what they do on water.
We're not disputing any of
Yeah.
that. We're just saying that our way of looking at it is to get them out of our shallow water from the north end of the lake.
Right.
Right.
But someone could, let me get this straight. So let's say you do all that. Someone can bring one of those boats in. Knowing or not knowing. You know, make that perimeter. And then just go out on the lake and come to another part of our lake, which affects you, even though it's not in your jurisdiction. And could cause a lot of trouble. So I guess I would.
Main Street,
Right.
Yeah, I think
Not for long.
we've had a good discussion. I think we've had a good discussion.
But may I, yeah, I just want to ask make one point that I think Paul Lord would bring this up if he were here. The idea of buoying these zones is an extremely costly, time consuming, and he will say as well, dangerous enterprise. And so if we really are going to cordon off, so it's quite visible and the buoys, you know, are distinctive in terms of what they stand for. It's going to be a huge expense for everybody, and the ice will take them out. So are they going to be removed and installed annually? And right, but now we're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. If we are going to have.
You need, worse.
But yeah, can I just make one comment on the buoys? Okay, the buoys around Sunken Island have been missing for a year and a half. We had a board meeting, Seagull Lake Association. I wrote to state senators, representatives, got no answer. One of our board members actually got a hold of a Parks and Recreation Director. And there's gonna be a work day in 15th, about the 15th of June, and they're gonna put those buoys back.
June 22nd.
Okay, June 27th.
I've been fighting with them since last year.
Right, and everybody's been fighting.
They promised that we'd get them early this year.
Right, well, my point there is that buoys don't really work, because they, you know, look at the trouble we've had, there's not a lot of them, what are we talking
There's
about?
not a lot.
But the ice took them out, and getting them back's been hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so buoys are not the answer.
Any more buoys than that are at the 200-foot mark right now. We're talking about moving them out. We're not adding any buoys.
But maintenance is a problem, it's an expensive.
So, but I mean, it's that you're already paying the maintenance, whether they're sitting at 200 foot or 300. That doesn't make a difference.
That's just, it's a work
It's
stuff.
different, it's making you different.
I'm just saying that they, in fact, the facts are they didn't get maintained, and getting them put back has been hell.
Yeah.
And we hope it happens on June 22nd,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it's.
I did clarification on that because the village always made a contribution to BFS, Paul Lord, to put in the buoys, etc. And they came out.
Different buoys, Seagull Lake Association puts in thousands of dollars a year too.
Right, so don't they come out and go in, they would leave?
Yes, those are the wake buoys, but
That's-
what I'm talking about is the hazard
Oh,
buoys
the
buoys
hazard.
up near Sunken Island. At the north end of the lake, you're exactly right, Ellen. The other ones come in and come out, and the chains get replaced and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Let me ask you this, hold on. Let's cut to the chase here, right? What do you guys want from us? Want us to ban the launch of wakeboard boats? And as far as, what else do you want? I'm not saying it rudely, y'all were.
No, I hear you. I mean, I think what the village law does is a big start. I would like all the municipalities to be at one with this, which is why we had the BFS. That's what I would like. Now, other members of the committee might have a different view. I think Bill feels the same way, unless I'm wrong.
Not me there. They had the launch of them in the Springfield launch.
What about all the ones that private?
Well, we'll have to,
Signs, notification on it, I guess, you know.
we'll have to talk to them. I think that's the next step of this. I mean, we're just sort of making one step at a time. Listen, Deanna, it wouldn't be right for me to tell you what to do. It just isn't.
No, I'm just saying what you guys want, you're looking for. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's fair to say, if the closer you can come to the legislation we enacted,
Yeah.
I think that would be,
I think
a
we're going the same thing.
But they have the same.
By creating less space for those folks.
they can still be launched, Henry. They can still be launched.
They can be launched at any of the private box.
No, I know, but we don't.
You only go to.
If, yeah, but it's a start. It's at least a start to try and figure out.
Sure.
Okay, so I think we've had a good discussion, and I think there's been a lot of information that's come forward. And we have to trust the municipalities, what they think is best. All we can do.
Before, maybe if you want to talk to me, you know, maybe next couple of days on the phone or something, we can talk about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody's to your,
Well, it's,
Calling.
as it stands now, 300 feet, 375, all that, you guys aren't thinking that. Rather see the 12
No.
wait, which you say
We
different
think it-
ad or law.
I think it's fine. I think it's a great.
Oh, you want the lunch bigger, that's what's missing right now, that's what you're looking for.
I think if you look at this legislation and determine what you can do from
Well,
this.
why didn't you read our legislation that we sent the first of April? It had all of that in it. We pulled that out. So
Yes.
why didn't you pass that one?
We did pass it.
Well,
That's,
I haven't seen how it goes in Linfield.
no, because they just brought it
But
forward.
it doesn't matter. We sent it before we even, the whole idea was to send the draft law out to all the municipalities
And
through
we did that.
you guys
We did that,
before we passed the law.
correct, and we did that. Henry,
Well, then how could, we had all the vote stuff that you wanted in there.
do you wanna talk?
No, just, I did, and ours looks identical pretty much to what you sent around in April.
The first one you sent around.
Yeah, and I don't, we don't.
So then it got changed without, you hear about it. So we took out the vote part.
And remember, also with all this negative publicity about it, people that do own them are not gonna feel comfortable, but they'll eventually sell their wakeboard boat after that, you know? They're gonna have people calling on them, you know, oh, I just saw one go down, you know? And that's gonna be effective too. And after a year or two, they're gonna be like, you know what, I don't wanna deal with it, everyone's gonna like hate me. Because the lake always wins, everyone loves the lake, that's always gonna win the argument. So, but remember, we're not open to the public, we have 2, 3 marinas that are. Three of them, excuse me.
Have those marinas been approached about what their attitudes might be?
No, they probably can be, you know.
Yeah, that's our next step, is we need to, we need to do more, but we thought we'd start with more municipalities. Get a sense, because if we come to this with 4 different views of the world. What are we saying? You know, we don't really know, these are some ideas you could use. It would have been a great start for us to be able to do something as a group, you know, so. But we'll do what we have to do, everyone has to make their money.
But the lake is not the same, and each of them lives about.
No, I understand.
And we want it just for one people, we're not. The other
Understood. No, I
people are expanding.
The way law, yeah.
We're another shallow, where this really is, you know, I mean, this elsewhere too, particularly with us, and Russ. We're at risk, you know.
Yeah.
I would think the intent is more important than 4 people rubber stamping.
No, I didn't mean, rubber stamping. The idea was to have folks come together and try and write something that was similar so that we could protect the lake. That's all. It was well intended and.
I think that's the case, you know.
I think this was what I'm.
Okay, that's fine. So we talked about it. You need to do what you need to do. The other municipalities will be doing what they need to do and we go from there, hopefully. So. Any other thoughts or any other?
Well, just that we worked really hard in the village to make an informed decision based on scientific evidence, on legal constraints and legal authorities. And, you know, Matt is describing impacts that you are trying to address, and it might warrant more conversation. So when you do overlay those maps and you do see those depths, you may decide that to get to that objective, you have to extend the no wake zone farther out.
Right.
But that's not to say you botch something in the first instance and people are, you know, browbeating about it. It's just getting some collective understanding. Oh, this is really the point. If that's on the wake issue,
Yeah.
then on the launch issue, you've heard the discussion of that and why it's of concern. And you know, when you think about it, as Jake points out, and I think Florian, you have 8 gallons of water with microorganisms. You launch that boat, put another 1,000 gallons, 10,000 gallons, and all of a sudden you've got a nice mix master and out they go into the lake. And who could be happier than the microorganisms? You know, it's.
Very, very happy.
Another thing, when Lake Shore first started, the reason it was at 200 feet, that there was a whole bunch of people that didn't want the buoy looking like an airplane landing field, okay? So what's more important, the aesthetics or so, you know, don't blame it all on what's going on today. That rate zone in those days had to be approved by DEP. They don't have to be anymore, that's done by local law. I mean, we could pull it out 1,500 feet on each side. And we would leave on 1,800 foot strip. So if you want to see a strip of buoy, 900 feet apart, running down the middle of the lake.
Right. You know, and we're struggling with this because the collective actions of our youth and probably our parents' generation have brought the lake to this condition. We don't have the lake of our ancestors. We've got a different kind of lake. And it's, to me, I always use a metaphor. I do a lot of work on fishery restoration and river restoration. These systems are now on intensive care. They're an intensive care unit. Look at the monitoring that has to go on, the pure science that has to go on, and then the action. And look at how hard it is to take these actions, to pass a law. Look what we ran up against. The boating industry, we had I think a total of 4 trade association having their representatives write to us and say, let's sit down and reason together. No, don't do it now. But when? So.
Thank you so much.
All right, well,
I
I'll
really
give
appreciate
you
it.
more about.
Yeah,
Yeah. This guy, would mind you with this guy, let's see what we come up with.
This guy is Matt.
I know.
This guy is fine.
Yes, don't mind.
Whatever I can do to help.
Come on, yeah. That's why, you know, you kind of gave the impression that, you know, it wasn't as important to us as it was to you folks.
I did.
Not
It's a little bit, it's okay. And I don't want, in the video we saw, the video you showed was very effective. That was in some shallow ass water.
That was 30 feet big.
No way.
Yeah, yes.
No.
That's really.
It was like 7 to 10 feet max to me, but I'm wrong. That was.
I think
That's
that-
the-
What looks like a tornado over here.
That was the
Yeah,
damage.
yeah, they
from
said it, I
up
think they
there.
said it was 30 feet.
That's it.
Well,
There's
I,
a
no,
whole
I know
series
what they said,
of,
that's
there's a
all.
whole series of, they run it at several different depths.
Let's make
But it looks almost as bad when you get way down 25, 30 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I know we gotta move on. We'll come up with the draft and that week, so I wanna get this pushed through by June, guys, like that, sooner the better, right? I'll keep you guys informed.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. If you hate it, let me know.
No. And since this is a public meeting and people listen to it, there is no way that I was trying to express that, Galen. What I am trying to do is express the way I think is important to think about it. Everybody has their view of it. It's okay. It's still America.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
Yes,
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
you got
Okay,
it. I guess I'll go find it.
let's go. Let's go back to the minutes. We need to approve the minutes for 5/6. Anybody want to move it?
I mean, Pat Kennedy instead of Ms. Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, yes, I don't know who did that. All right.
Or I could be Dr. Penny.
You should be
Right.
doctor, if we're gonna use it, it better be doctor, yeah, that's right.
But I'd rather.
I'll do Pat, we'll change that. Did someone want to move it?
So
With that
moved.
change, okay, and second,
Sorry. Can I also have mine changed from Mr. to Doctor?
yeah, absolutely, well, no, we're gonna change hers to Pat, so we'll change yours to Jacob.
Well, you just said Mr. Gillette. so.
No, I didn't say it.
That's not I'm not.
I made a setting. I did some editing.
Oh.
I think what we're gonna do is come up with a template of
Sure.
monikers and then you can short it. Say
These are
again?
minutes, you can use initial.
Yes.
That's what I typically do, but they were altered, so. All right, so we'll use Pat Kennedy, Jacob Gillette like we have been.
Or PK.
Or what? Or PK,
Or-
well, whatever we've been doing, we'll continue
Yeah.
to.
We'll make it consistent.
But
Thank you.
with those two changes, do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All set back here? Christos, could you step out if you're gonna, so we can,
Sorry.
that's all right. All right, so those are the minutes from 5-6. Jacob, any septic issues for tonight?
So I told you earlier today, I'm still working on the mailings. They're very close. There is a lot of proofreading that needed to be done. Database thing, set up the mail merge, so that's largely finished. I should be able to get them out tomorrow. Henry and I did do an inspection today, had to do a property transfer in Springfield. So I'll be giving you a report on that soon.
This is right, and you shared with me that you were that there were concerns. So I am buoyed by that because now we have someone looking and making sure that that whole process is in order. So that's good news to me, even though it may be something that needs to be fixed. It's good news to me. It should be to all of us.
Is that something we're discussing now?
No, I think we'll wait for Jacob's report.
I don't have anything formal. I went there this morning.
No, I'm just interested to hear this story, but
Yeah, it will be heartening. Okay, let's see. So I wanted to make sure everyone did get, I think everyone on the committee got a copy of the law that was passed by the village, which is good. And we have public hearings coming up for Otsego. Springfield is still open and Middlefield. And I was talking with Matt earlier about whether it might be good to have the scientists at some of these public hearings to balance and make sure that the science continues to come up to the top and not get buried. Obviously, if people have to work on their own schedules, I'll put in the minutes when those public hearings are and folks can decide, they can go, right, if they want to.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I've sent notes to most, everybody saying that I would like specific to get together with them. Is there's, for ours is July 8th.
Yeah.
And I would like specific questions to be answered and put in the record so that when we do pass it, it'll say whereas blah, 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 it's related to the facts that were put into the record at the hearing.
Okay,
What is the scope of these hearings?
It's a,
same as the villages,
Oh,
on the wake boat board.
on the
boat.
way.
Yeah, on the legislation,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
yeah.
But I think it, honestly, for those of you who weren't there, it made a tremendous difference to have Jacob there and Florian. And it just made a huge difference to have the scientists stand up, I think, and talk about, the evidence. It's evidence that's important, so. Okay, let's see, the loggers, Kyoko isn't here, but I know she was waiting for pigging of the line, so I think we're all set there. There is a date, May 30th,
31st,
May 31st.
30,
So, is there ability for people to see that? To look
you
at?
can, there are two vantage points in my experience. The first one is down at the water treatment plant. There's a big well. They pull the grate off. And that's where you load the pig into the line, and then the pumps are reversed and it shoots up the line out into the lake. There are some other logistical things they do to fill the tanks first and then shut down the system. And I'm sure if people are out of from underneath, from underfoot, all of it could be observed.
Okay, I know some people are interested in doing that.
And then the
Okay.
other is out on the lake and, or standing at Council Rock. It's 1,500 feet out or so into the lake.
And I think there are things that you were interested in seeing, Matt, and I hope that,
Excuse me,
oh,
Cliff,
is he leaving? Oh dear, are you leaving?
you give us like 2 minutes because you're on the agenda next.
Oh, okay, really stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Let me start now. This is Officer Runner
Yes.
from SUNY Oneonta. And recall, we've been discussing, Florian's taken the lead on trying to get some help for making sure that we can police the lake, if you will. Did you have some thoughts for us about how that might come about, or?
Well, I've been doing some research gathering. What I'm currently is putting together a proposal for the administration at Oleana. I thought going into this was a community outreach and educational outreach as far as Marine Patrol. I am not Marine Patrol certified yet. The state actually has free training for that. They do it twice a year. They actually provide money for boats as well. I've been in contact with the state police that have a boat on the lake, DEC. They're in the same bargaining unit, collective bargaining unit that I'm in. So are the state park police. So I've been, gathering information, and I've actually have friends that work at the Cooperstown PD, and we are looking to try to get a group together to try to go to the Marine Patrol School this fall.
That's great.
And yeah, it is, and it's all. So that's it's kind of an interesting point where I'm coming into this, where an education about wake boats. It could be something that we could address as a Marine Patrol. And so what I'm really looking for is just a letter of support to go forward to the administration.
So what will help if we passed would it help you if we passed a resolution that says that the Watershed Supervisory Committee would be grateful for any help that, okay,
And in order to operate Marine Patrol, you have to have 2 people on the boat at the same time. So I would like to, like I was explaining, work with like the village police and also like the state park police. And
can you give us, can you off the top of your head tell us what the resolution should say, so we get it right?
this is all new.
Okay,
And
so
There's another issue I think we need to raise. Just Officer Bruner, can you comment on your supervisor's remarks on the need for documentation, or is that not such a big issue? My interpretation was they wanted to see a lot more like accounts of things that happened that we can use as evidence to make the argument that a police presence is necessary. Because I've been offering that to folks, but I don't really have anything. I don't have like specific accounts on this date, this happened. I've kept a couple of my own. But I don't have a body of data to put forth, and I'm just wondering, do we need that, or is that not really a concern?
that is something that has become a difficult stumbling block.
Yeah,
Because a lot of situations that you would need law enforcement for out on water isn't reported because there's no law enforcement on water.
Exactly.
yeah. It's just anecdotal observations, but would those be helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's.
Can I just ask a question? I heard you mention DEC and the village. Have you had any contact with the sheriff, the county?
Not directly. no.
Because that, they've got an excellent, that's a long-standing
Yeah,
contentious issue. There is they have the boat, they have the certified people.
budget,
They just don't, that's, people think they have the budget.
someone.
But that is, that's ready to go if someone says go.
there's a couple issues with that one. The main thing is my chief currently and the sheriff do not go.
Right.
Well,
But yeah, I hear you and I understand that.
So,
And another thing with, as far as like the sheriff's department, their votes are actually provided by the state. And they actually, I've spoken to some of one of the officers at our department is actually transferred in from the sheriff's department, and he is both certified. But one of the issues they ran into was there wasn't enough officers to do road coverage and marine patrol. And they were short-staffed and they offered it to overtime, and the officers did not want to spend their days off enforcing on the lake. So the more, we have a larger department, not larger than the sheriff's department, but we have several members of our department that are also interested in becoming marine patrol. And in the summer, when there aren't students on campus, they could be up here on the lake.
That's a great idea.
So what if we made a resolution like, and I'll be able to listen to this when I listen to the meeting. WSC would appreciate any support from SUNY Police. What would I say? How do I call your department? Police?
Yeah, you're New York State University Police at SUNY Indiana.
To help monitor safe practices of the lake. Would that help?
Yeah.
And then, all right, so I'm moving that. Do I have a second?
And another thing that might be helpful there is because we are assuming we are very educational oriented. Is word that and put that word in there somehow.
And to provide education. All right, with that modification.
Yeah,
And do I have a second?
I'll second. I just wanted to discuss a little more yours. You and your staff would be on the boat that would be operated by a boat certified
Yes.
officer from one of the other agencies, county, state,
Yeah, I know.
park.
As far as, I don't know what the other agencies are, but obviously the county sheriff department, they have to have one certified boat marine patrol officer on board where they can pull somebody out of corrections. They can have someone out of corrections out of the boat with it.
So
It doesn't happen.
to launch the boat with one of your staff assigned to it. So their duties as campus police would expand for the summertime to get on one of these boats.
Yes,
They'd be paid through your department.
yes. Yeah.
But if we don't get, so how do we get the boat out of the slip? I mean, who's gonna do that?
As far as getting the boat or.
No, I mean, there is a boat parked at Sam Smith's. Or
That's the sheriff.
That's the sheriff's boat. So what boat are we?
Are you
If
gonna
not-
use? What boat would you use?
I would like to get our own boat through the state program.
So it won't be for that probably won't be for this summer then, we're talking about.
No,
Okay. Well, we'll provide this,
You
we'll,
got a beautiful, you got a $200,000 boat sitting up there right now.
What I mean, I think there should be a come to Jesus meeting among these agencies.
How about
You-
shared services?
There you go.
The county frequently supports shared services, so a shared service with the village police or with the city police. Let them have the boat.
Right, but the
They
predicate
can
is,
operate it, let these guys operate it.
If it's in need. The county.
well, it seems to me the question is, who can have access, under what authority can someone have access to the boat that's already funded, it's already assigned to this lake? And how would those budget activities, take place? I mean, the county has to do something, the county sheriff, it's the county that sets the budget. It allocates money to fund the sheriff's department, right? And so if the county says this money is for the operation of the boat, then all of a sudden we've got a boat and now we need an operator, a certified operator.
I think I'm gonna be disciplined about staying on 90 issues. And I don't think this is a 90 issue, but we will provide that letter of support. If someone here wants to take this on separate from this committee in terms of that boat sitting there and how we do that, that's a different topic. But I just want you to know, we will provide you with that document. And so I moved it. Do I have a second? Joe has a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous.
great.
Yeah. And thank you for coming. Sorry we didn't get to you as quickly as I had hoped to.
That's fine.
All right. Thank you, Officer Runner. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you, Florian, for taking the lead on that. It's been very
Great
helpful,
idea.
obviously.
Like to do more, but yeah, we don't have too much to say yet, but yeah.
The scientific advisory report, it was sent to us in advance. We didn't talk about it the last meeting. Kyoko's not here. I'll bring it up again at the next meeting in case there's something she wants to note, but I just wanted to make sure that we at least mention it in the minutes. If anyone did have questions, we can certainly entertain that. Let's see, a lake level effort, Matt.
Nothing to update.
No news yet, okay. Thank you. You're not haven't lost hope, have you?
Not yet.
Don't.
I'm working on it.
I know you are. There is no doubt. Okay, lake pledge, I understand it was passed, Jim, yes?
Yes,
Yeah, so,
so I distributed to the folks I said I would.
Okay. Yeah, so what are the next steps with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We got to administer the thing, so, yeah, yes, Jay.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you, it's just that Jeff wasn't here this evening, but he did have a comment on that. So
Do you have the comment?
This is from Jeff Level.
Oh, great. Oh, wonderful.
So he wasn't able to make it today, and he passed along his apologies for that, but he said, I have to discuss the pledge developed by OLA. I was wondering about distribution of that or some version of it. For example, will realtors have copies available to provide to new homeowners? Should the pledge be made available each time a septic system is inspected? Could a modified version be developed to be made available in key locations, even for folks who do not live in the watershed per se? I.e. farmers market, Ellen Polk's mailing list, connections mailing list, 500 names, etc. Landscapers, question mark, pavers, question mark. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Considered by Jim this.
The hard part, the first part was putting it together. The hard part is going to be administering. I'm glad you mentioned the farmers market. There's 2 dates, at least one I know in June, where we're gonna have a table there. Passing out copies of the pledge. But how we're gonna get it to all the people who are interested, the answer is I don't know. I will come back to this group and let you know.
Jim, is it possible, I see this as a key point where all the agencies could sit down and come up with a plan. So we could send it to the email list that Ellen sends out for Watershed. We could, OCCA would send it to their mailing. Could we sit down and come up with a plan with you?
Yes, that's a good idea because between us, we can get it to 500 or 800 people. So yes, we can get it out, but the follow-up's the important thing.
I know.
Putting it in front of them is a good thing. People are gonna like it, but getting, where's this gonna live?
Yeah,
The last I heard, it was gonna be, there was a county database, and I think OCCA is not here today, right?
no,
Going back to last year, OCCA was gonna handle the administration, keeping track of who signed up for what properties. And actually they had some software, it was gonna be like a monthly tickler that went out. You signed up, the pledge. Do you have anything to report? Here's a synopsis of what the other people are saying. So I know OCCA is a key part, okay?
do you want Victoria and I to pull a group together to start discussing?
Yeah,
it?
and I'll help you with that,
Okay,
but yeah, yes, Pat.
Is it possible to have anything that would work like the eye invasives report, eye mapping system for people to upload to, of things they're seeing that are not so good, or there are things which would give us the data about to tell SUNY. Because I don't think it's that complicated to have that kind of app.
That's kind of what the OCCA software was gonna do. It was a communication device and also a record keeping. So this would, and then eventually some type of sort where problems would go to BUC.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm happy to talk about it. So right now it's a concept, okay?
Okay.
We've agreed.
so we'll get together.
Making it work is.
That's the work, yeah.
Right.
All right, so
I'll be happy, I'll be part of that group.
oh, great, Jim, thank you so much. Thanks for getting that through.
Could it be
Please,
in a paper?
sure, it can be, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add on the general topic. I've actually discussed this with Henry today. I know there's been past efforts to educate people and make sure people understand. I strongly believe that there are lots of home transfers that are occurring where nobody is contacting me. There's no inspection going on, there's no pumping out going on. I think that's just the reality. You see homes for sale pending sales, and I Here, very few people.
Mm.
So anything I think we can do to reinforce that that is a written in stone law, they have to do that. I just don't think collectively that's taking place.
You know, in the first, maybe, I guess it was the second year of WSC, we wrote to the Realtor group. And I spoke to local folks who have a big voice in that group in this area. And they're adamant that they tell the homeowner. Now, that's like writing the pledge and not putting it out, right? So the key here is what is a better way to do? Is there some monitor that we have to put in place for every house that's sold to write a letter? I mean, I just don't know. It's something that may emerge over time. You're absolutely right. I don't think it happens. And even though they tell the homeowner, I don't think that necessarily inspires action.
Well, I'm wondering if we could, and if it would, maybe it would take a local law to do it, but require a certification and closing of a
Maybe.
property.
It's a great idea.
And then, you know, you will have these stack of closing documents from this and that disclosure and everything else, but the one document that have to be in the file is as a premise to recordation. Well, that's the question. What is the scope of our, to do that for a home in Springfield or elsewhere? It's really a county issue. And maybe what we have to do is get the county
Maybe,
or
or
pass a regulation or a law that says the county record.
But I don't know, maybe, but also maybe WSC has the authority to do that kind
Well,
of
but
thing. I
it's,
don't know.
the problem is that you're going to be going to the county recorder's office with the documents can be
Yeah.
filed on county records. And you want that evidence as a precondition to the document being, the deed being recorded, the transfer being recorded. So if the clerk says, where's your septic certification? It's not here, I won't accept this for filing. I mean, that's a huge.
But that's different from basically the lawyer who's handling the closing committing malpractice because he didn't check to make sure it was in there when he sent for all the appropriate papers.
Right, but the catch, where that's gonna get caught is if the clerk is under instructions at the county level. That this is my checklist, this is what I have to have in a set of closing documents before I can record a deed. I'm not
Yes.
certain of this, but
I mean, it's-
that's the idea.
It's already in the law that they have to do it. Implementing it, making sure it happens is
Well,
the key. So
That's
we
my
have-
other question, is it clear in our law that on transfer of property, there has to be
Yes.
some?
Yes.
Yes,
Very.
it's in the law.
Very clear.
There's an exception if there's been a very recent, I believe, pump out inspection. but
How do you know?
Beyond that,
All right, so I think it's gonna, and I apologize for not knowing that. But if that's the case, that being the case, we want the county to implement that in its recording policy, because then it's done. The deed doesn't get recorded without the document. We can insist on it, and then we can say, well, where is it? But the deed literally has been done. It's been filed without it. But if this process can be worked out with the county, that's it. And then it would come to you in a heartbeat, because these frantic people who want to get into their new house, or the other people who want to get out of their house.
yeah.
So we'll take that on as a septic issue,
Great.
as we go. All right, great. All right, Willowbrook, I took this off the pending list. I think we said in the spring, which I think this spring, we were gonna try and take a look at Willow. Christos and Jake, we're gonna try and do something there. I know you both are crazy busy. Is this still a reasonable thing to do? Or has it gotten changed a little bit, how we want to live?
I certainly, it's still obviously a topic, but yeah, I feel like there's very little book on my schedule right now.
Okay,
May I bring up,
Summer.
okay.
may I bring up something about Willowbrook? The New York Forward project to redo Pioneer Alley. We're going to shortly, sometime in June, we're gonna have a public session, information session about this. We reviewed in the Board of Trustees meeting, the draft documents that were produced by the contractor. And one of the things they're doing is reconstructing Pioneer Alley in the portion that overlies the culvert carrying Willowbrook. down past the building. We have the Willowbrook report. It indicated overall it's in relatively good condition, but there is falling. There are things that are going on. There has been rubble and sediment collected above it. My question, to which we didn't have an answer at the meeting was, well, if you're gonna start scraping, that whole alley perpendicular to Main Street, which is where the culvert runs, how are you gonna have to protect? Have they even thought about what that means? And I'm not talking about reconstructing, but certainly doing no further harm. And then the added issue to that is, what you do with runoff. Right now, there's a big rate, the runoff comes from the Pioneer portion of the alley and runs right into the unfiltered and whatever. So the idea is to put some sort of pavers down the middle of the alley. It's gonna be an alley, not a crown. That'll be a V shape. To collect that water and then filter it, but I think those pavers are not good. They don't stay intact. They're a tripping hazard. So some other infiltration design, maybe periodic grates, that there'll be some filtering medium, subterranean filtering medium. Is that something because that's a lot of prep just in that short stretch of Willowbrook. It's sand, it's salt, it's debris, it's whatever. So that's what I see as a related Willowbrook consideration. And it's going to be coming, design decisions are going to be made, and they're talking about construction this fall. So I think it's something to be identified.
How do we, I guess I'm asking, how do we want to represent, we had chosen during the fall that this was a big issue. So how do we want to represent this now, either on the agenda for the 90 plan? How do we want to represent this? If there's if this timing is important, I guess I'm not sure, how do we make a choice about what we do about this, if anything?
So you mean a pending active part of something?
Willowbrook in general, I don't,
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to get to anything until the end of the summer is what I'm hearing.
Well, one thing we are either going to get to it or we're going to miss it, is the design of that portion of the buried, the road work that's going to go, that's going to take place that overlies the culvert. So what do we do about even that short length? But it's, to me, it's critical, and it'll be permanent. We won't be retrofitting anything if we haven't thought about it and gotten it worked into the design right now.
I'm happy to attend those if I can. I don't know enough about, what they're obviously about what they're planning or what would involve, but it's a valid point, certainly.
Yeah, what I got from it was that they hadn't thought about it.
Sure.
So that could be it could be a stumbling block. It could be a cost issue for sure, depending on how severe the fix has to be. But there is all that runoff that we can see. It's over a short period. I mean, who else was describing Willowbrook as a tiny watershed, but its contribution to siltation is disproportionate. So, I mean, and this is a portion of the disproportionate contribution of siltation.
So to our conversation about sort of the discipline of how we look at this as a group, given the looming needs of 90 and whatever else has to happen. How do you want me to represent this on the agenda? And who owns it?
Well, I'll say from the point of view of the trustees, I'm bringing up this issue.
Okay.
Have brought it up and we'll try to deal with it with the design team. I think the streets, so for the village, it's I guess community environment, it's a streets committee. I believe it's watershed, and it's water and sewer because we're doing water and sewer.
It's a tributary too, so I'd be interested in knowing that. Is the state doing this or who's doing this?
This is a state grant, part of the New York Forward program, which is distributing monies to communities like ours to do various infrastructure projects. And this happens to be, there's a similar issue is going to take place on Hoffman Lane. That's all going to be redone. And right now, if you don't know the topography of the village, Hoffman Lane drain, Lake Street, Fair Street, all drain into the lake. There are no storm sewers in that area. And so there's a lot of runoff that comes down. And it doesn't go into the park and get filtered because the runoff doesn't climb up over the curb into the parking lot and infiltrate. It takes a right turn on Lake Street and a left turn, doesn't go down Fish Road either. It takes a left turn down Fair Street and into the lake. So the idea of this project is to create some sort of infiltration system that captures the water coming down the alley. We're going to take that parking lot at Lakefront Park, the upper one, and put infiltration galleries in there and try to modulate. So that's one of the things that's coincidental with our 90 hours.
Okay. All right, then 90 updates. I think the WAC minutes went out, yes? Everybody?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay.
Great.
I'm sorry, I can't remember either. I know so much has happened. So that was a very good meeting. The minutes, I think, were very reflective. Jacob did a lot of work with the consultants to make sure that was a useful and helpful meeting. Ag tributary, any meetings coming up?
Well, Christos and I met the end of last week and talked about the opportunities that are there to look for best management practices and that sort of thing. And there really isn't all that much that is just sitting there waiting for us to jump into. A lot of this was done over the last 25 years or so, when there was a lot of interest in the cleaning up the lake and all that started. So I'm not sure where what we need to try to attack. There are some places, and Christos should fill in the details of this, but there are some people that were there was a suggestion to their own property along the farm, property along tributaries, to do riparian buffers and that sort of thing. But that means that they have to give up that land. They can't farm it anymore. And they don't want to do that. Well, it's their land. Trying to get a court order to go in and make them do that, I think would not be thought of as being at all humorous. So that's kind of, we don't really have a lot of targets sitting out there that we could just jump on. There's one that Henry Miller keeps bringing to my attention, that we should probably get them to move a pile of manure, but that isn't a whole lot more than that.
I guess, should we talk to Wendy and see if she's expecting something from this group, or can they disband? I don't know that this is a 90 required committee. Do you?
I don't know if they should disband, but yeah, we still have some problems. So Christos did provide us a very lengthy list of BMPs, and like Bill's saying, it's a lengthy list of smaller projects for the most part. You can correct me if I'm saying incorrectly here. We still need to kind of put like the numbers that we could feasibly percentage wise increase, maybe some of those different BMPs. So that's still to come. We need to second meeting. In all of your free time, sure. But yeah, it certainly is, I think, generally speaking, seems to be an issue that it's going to be difficult even for us to model, substantial amount of decreases that would have offset the predicted sort of climate increases.
Okay. All right. So that's all right. That's where we are.
I don't have a perfect answer. That's still in the works. So
that's fine. It's fine.
But to Bill's point, we can have best management practices and then they would not be imposed on farmers, in my view. There would be solicitation of grant funds to make that cost neutral to, you know, the farmers, whatever the particular practices that we could implement to help them out. So I don't, you were suggesting that these would be imposed on farmers?
Well,
At their expense?
I mean, you have to offer, I don't think we have people coming asking soil and water to help them out over certain things. At least that's the impression that I got from the conversation we had. So that they're looking for, you know, how do I get money to build a container for manure or something like that, that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, or can be. I don't think that there are people walking around looking for that kind of, then they would, if they went to their farm people, they would be directed, I'm sure, to soil and water to help them with something like that, but I don't think that that's there. Is that not?
We are currently working with one farm on the Lake Watershed to develop a manure storage project. So that is, that's one project we're working on, and that's a big one. But overall, what needs to be done up there to help with the issues that you guys are looking at is that fencing, exclusion fencing, riparian buffers, and also, some stream bank, some stream floodland bank restoration also needs to occur, and on those. Yeah, this statement holds true, is that not that many farmers come out, and the last time that we had the meeting up in Springfield. To discuss that, where most of the farming tends to happen, there was. I wouldn't say there was reticence, but it seemed that most of the farmers were pretty content with what they had, and that they felt that the items that they had under operation were more than enough to deal with the lake issues.
I guess I'm thinking, where have we captured this work so that we can put it in the 90s, so when the consultants know about it? I feel like you guys know what happened there, but I don't know that we've got it captured for the 90 to be put in the 90 plan of work we've done. Is it on paper? Is there a document that says, here's the work that's been doing, like on the manure container and blah, 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 or do we have that information in writing or something?
I have record of historical projects we've done up there, so we have those.
Well, let's find out what we need from the consultants. Maybe we don't need anything. I don't know, but I would assume we need to show. Work.
My understanding is they do have, like, and they've already put them into the model estimation of existing DMPs that have occurred.
So would this manure holder be in there?
Well, probably not.
Oh.
Well, we haven't applied for it.
I didn't understand that. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
But those slurry retention ponds are a thing in farms, dairy farms, it's widespread. They're very costly. So the question is a best practice that's costly going to be accounted for in our 9-element plan so that in the future we can recruit funding to defray the cost of that sort of facility. So I mean, I think what Bertina's is asking for is some record that this is a thing, that this does go on and is it's a. And maybe there is, I don't know, under the New York agricultural laws, do the farms, are they required to maintain these slurry containments and so?
As far as I know, only if they're CAPOs, and there's only 2 CAPOs within the state, within the county, and none of them are on the land.
What is that called?
CAPO, confined animal feeding operation.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll leave that with you guys. I'm assuming everything that we have, everything we need for the 90 is in order. Okay, recall that Jeff challenged us at the last meeting to do a document that outlines what you're working on, who's responsible in that whole thing. Communications team, it's easy for us. We did that. We sent it to everybody, but I would be looking for that from each team at the next meeting or whenever it's convenient, so that we have a sense of that. So I did send it out. Any questions on the communication team one? Pretty simple.
No, yep.
Basic. Regulatory meeting, I don't know if, has a date been set that you know of?
I'm sorry, for what?
Has a date been set that you know for the regulatory committee?
I don't, yeah, I don't.
We don't know. Okay, I'll find out. Jeff will be here at the next meeting, so we'll find out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Been a long day. Jeff did provide us by email. It's sort of hard to read just the way it came out of the email, but, he did share, his regulatory committee outline. Conferences committee,
Jake, you don't need to read it. Can you?
yeah, anyway,
No, but can you send it to all of us? And I'll put it addendum to the minutes or something. If it's in an email? No.
I think Jeff sent it just to you and I, so yeah, I can.
Oh, I have it. I'm sorry. I had.
It's okay, it was just this afternoon thing.
Okay, I'll put it in the notes so that people can read that. Is that acceptable to everyone or?
Yeah.
Okay. Scientific committee, Kyoko's not here, but if things are proceeding the way you think they should, from your view.
Yes, and we were gonna do the similar thing, I was gonna actually take lead on that, it's just.
Yeah, of course, no problem. And the WSC grid, Kyoko was gonna think about that. We'll talk to her. She's presenting at the national blah, blah, blah meeting. I don't know what it is. Limnology Limited,
As
Yeah,
well.
yeah, one of her groups.
Limnology R Us,
They-
something like that, yeah.
Watershed.
Okay, so that's very good. Congratulations on presentation at Nisfola by you and Kyoko. I understand it went very well. It was the last thing at the last day and the last hour, so. And you still had a crowd, so.
Yeah.
And also, it's important for us to know, for those of you who haven't heard it yet somewhere else, that the issue of wakeboard boats was very prevalent at that meeting. And Jake listened to quite a few of, well, I don't know, listened to some of the presentations around that. So was able to speak very, in a very informed way at the public meeting Monday night. So it's okay that this is out there and people are stirred up about it. It's okay. It's how change happens. It's how people make their minds up.
I just want to reiterate, like, so this was part of the presentation they gave at that conference. I think this is, people should be familiar with this here. You don't need to know the whole graph, but like, it really is not the same thing to say that a wake boat operating as a wake boat is the same as a large equivalent sized boat. It's just not the same thing.
Right.
And really the wave energy, which is what they're intending to do with the boats, is huge. You know, and 500 feet, 3 times the energy of a boat at the same speed on plane at 200 feet is a huge difference. That doesn't mean you couldn't have some kind of defined area that was far enough away. It's just, it is a tricky topic, and these are, when they're operated as wake surfing boats, it is off the charts compared to other types of boat operating.
I think, you know, folks have latched onto, well, it's no different than a motorboat or a pontoon boat with 12 people on it. It totally is. And we just have to keep coming back to the science and the scientists. And we just need to keep doing this. And so that people won't, they want to perhaps find a way to make it okay. And we have to just tell the truth with evidence, like we did tonight.
And quantified information like you're describing.
Yeah, fun. Yeah.
It's your description, Matt, of the downward thrust.
Yeah.
That was
huge.
great.
It's clear to people when they hear that kind of a detail or the kind of detail you just pointed out. It
Or the
sort of ends
invasive species that Maureen felt.
it ends the whataboutism.
Yeah, it does end the whataboutism. Don't underestimate the impact of those words. Yeah.
Well, I'm just hoping that each of you might come and say these things like that on July 8th, especially with the chart. Jacob, I think that could be very helpful.
Is it at 6 at night kind of thing?
It's 6:45 at night. Yes, that's when the public hearing is.
That was July 8th.
July 8th, 6:45 at night. I will send you some questions that I hope to have answered. One question would have been that exact question. What's the difference between a wake boat and any other kind of motored vehicle or motored vessel on the lake? Don't they all just disturb me? You know, so I want to be able to say the answer to what was it in Seneca brought out, which is that, well, you know, these other kinds of boats also have ballast tanks.
Yeah.
Or if they have 15 people on them, what about it? And Matt's point about the water going backwards versus the water going down.
Water going horizontal versus, yeah.
And I also would want to know whether it would be possible for us to run a test on a wake boat. What the woman who was here said she'd let us test her ballast and go up with 120 degrees of water and empty them out.
It's already been done, like
I
this
know.
information is already known, we don't like, there's, it's not like. The laws of physics are different in this watershed. You know, or the biological parameters are different, like this is our information that we don't have to repeat obtaining.
But what I'm saying is if somebody wants to say, look, I only keep my boat here.
Yeah,
She doesn't though. She brought it up from Maryland. So that worried me last night when I heard that. I went to talk to Ellen about that.
If it were the case that what somebody's saying is I only have my boat here. And I'm willing to have my ballast checked, and I only have lake water in it. Is there a way for us to have it done?
To test it for this boat owner?
To test it for invasives and charge them for it?
Well, but that's very, we have a facility that we spend a lot of money on, for example, down on Fish Road. You only get the people who can be gotten at the time people are there to operate that facility. And then if you're lining up boats to clean out ballast boats, the capacity of the equipment that we have to do that and do it thoroughly with certainty and finality is it's not there.
I'm not
So-
talking about 100 boats, I'm talking about people who live here, might keep the boat. If we get into this whole situation of there is a safe area on lake, which I'm not convinced there is. I mean, I kind of believe what Matt said. But I also asked Paul to do some maps for me, because at the presentation that Jake and I went to, they did have maps, and maps were based on basically the 500-foot rule on either side of the boat, if there was enough room on the lake and that sort of thing. If people were going to use it responsibly within a designated area, if that could actually be done. I want to eliminate the why can't you do this at the hearing. I want you to tell me if it can be done or not, and how much it would cost. For example,
I hear Florian saying this is not something you can offer at this time.
I think it's beyond the scope of what we can and should do.
okay,
Thank you.
We spend time on that. We're still gonna have the same, but what about, whereas we've got halves, we've got students, we've got other things.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfectly fine. Thank you for that. And thanks for the idea, Pat.
Not that halves and students are the same. I'm just saying.
No, of course
We've got
not.
other- We're spending our energy on different things.
well, I was
And this guy,
thinking it should be paid for, I was thinking we should do it for free.
well, it's the time, it's the time. They don't have. Okay, so let's see, Lake Fund allocation decisions. The BFS request was approved by the board. The OCCA invasive species one was approved by the board, and Springfield salt shed help was approved by the board. So those three were approved by Community Foundation Board of Directors as a result of Florian, myself, and Jim meeting with Jeff and providing some information with Jake's good overview. So it's good news, yay. Okay, moving on. All right, so that I think we covered everything else that's on here. Christos, I'm just leaving the Mill Street Dam thing on the agenda until we know. I'm just leaving it there.
No,
No, you don't have to say anything. I'm just leaving it. If you see it on the agenda, I just don't want to lose track of it. And I know it isn't until, I know it isn't now, but I just am.
well, you say that, but now the grant should probably be opening up now, though. Judging how things are going, they're probably gonna open up after Memorial Day. So that's when I'm gonna have to start putting in my applications for all of those items.
And you got the application that Kyoko did, so we're hoping that makes it easier
Yes,
for you.
I'll make it.
And the engineer.
Yes, so that's gonna make it a lot easier from that front. However, since it's come up, and I might be talking to guys at the vendor,
We do need to talk about who is gonna be putting the bill for the smaller contribution percentage, since. This needs to be,
What is it? What's the,
it depends, so if I put this under the MS4 mapping grants, then that becomes a 90-10. So that basically means the grant will cover about 90% and the other 10% that will have to come out of somebody
well,
else's.
we recall from this meeting, we do know that the OLA was willing to
Yes.
put up a match of a certain amount. So
Okay,
we probably still have that, but if it's more than that, then it's not OLA. We'll have to figure that out. I'm sorry, Jacob.
okay,
No, I'm sorry, he actually emailed me about this, later in the week, I am not gonna take that, but, he wanted to know specifically about the village. Or whether it was OLA, but, can
OLA.
you send me just some estimates of what you're thinking the overall size of the grant allocation might be, and then I can.
It should be similar to Kyoko's that she submitted, shouldn't it, Crystal? So I mean, it's the same thing.
well, it should be, I would probably, yeah, it should be similar. I wouldn't think the stuff would go over, the studies would go over like, I don't know, the streams that we did, especially like shadow work, that was like $15,000 for that study. So I would say that none of those should probably go above 20K each. But
For the
10%,
whole grant? Or for what you need, put with a match?
per grant, total cost.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's
okay.
that's what I would believe. I have to look at Keel, because I've never done a dam assessment study on that, but. What is it? That's still like $2,000 that needs to come out of somewhere.
I think OLA is
Okay.
good for it, and they'd be happy because that's less than what they were gonna provide, so.
Okay, if that's the case,
I know I speak for.
So be
You're
it.
breaking up.
I know I speak for you, Jim, when I
Yeah, I
said,
think, yeah. Well, yeah, keep it on the agenda. I just want to make sure whatever we do is in agreement with the village, okay? If the village isn't 100%, we'll do a project in village jurisdiction, if the village likes it and is enthusiastic. If you're not, we're not gonna go tilted windmills, okay? That's all I'm saying. So keep it on the agenda. Yeah, we're here to help.
so Joe, can you bring that to Alan or the
Let's,
board?
let's bring it up through, we're gonna have, there's several committees that could come up.
Okay.
So Jake, you and I should talk about that.
Sure.
It could be community environment, it could be water department,
And so to be clear, you're talking about there would be 3 different grants.
So
General.
we basically, so we have Clark, we have Shipman.
Yeah.
And we have the little dam. Those are the three that there's a. Maybe I'm mixing it up with.
Could they
another-
be put together so it's kind of one package instead of?
Technically, yes.
But-
But this is the reality of the matter, is that, this is the same issue I have when I have to put multiple landlords in the same grant. What happens, for example, and you guys kind of realize that, oh, wait, this is a lot more than what we have to do, well, you know what, we don't wanna. We should have to sacrifice Shipman Pond for a later date, for example. If there are 3 separate grants, and no funds have been expended, I can turn around to the DC and I can say, listen, this stuff has happened. We're gonna have to withdraw the shipment, and that would be okay, but if they're all fused into one. Then there's really no getting out of them without compromising the other 2.
right, and isn't the Mill Street Dam investigation entirely different from Clark Pond?
Well, they're all gonna be, yes.
I think it's different. Yeah. And the village doesn't have an interest in Clark Pond, I don't think.
No, but I mean, but what we're trying to do with the dam is it be an active regulatory structure that contributes science. The Clark Pond is a remediation problem. It's not,
Right.
that's not.
I
gonna
think
be-
it should be separate. I mean,
I think be.
I've heard that all 3 of them separate.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, okay, sorry.
Oh, no. Okay, let's see, just a couple of things. OCCA put out a request for volunteers to monitor the shoreline for HABs. I don't know if you all saw that, but you saw it. Okay, as long as you know about it, that's all that's important. And then I was very excited to show Matt something that he already knew, which is that there are there are 2 native species that can suppress the growth of 2 invasive plants. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's very Matt already knew. I thought I was gonna tell him something, didn't know. No.
Keep at it.
Really trying. And then there was, I heard on a village board meeting about a water plant rating. Is that something you want to share
Yeah.
with this group?
Yes, well, it really is a financial consequence for the village, but we were classified when we renovated our wastewater treatment plant as a class 4, which for our purposes required a much more credentialed operator, which and those operators are hard to come by. So our former operator was so credentialed, and then he left to go into private practice. And we were paying him a sum of money monthly to take advantage of his credential to oversee our plant. We had, and we were within a point or 2 on this rating scale from falling into a class 3, which had less, not less water quality results, but less oversight required for the operation of the plant. And so the DEC gave us that recently, in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And it won't change the performance of our plant, but it'll change the operating costs of it. So that's what we're pleased about. Did I miss anything?
No.
No, and that's what I just thought WSC should know if they didn't hear that. Okay. I think that's everything we have for tonight. If everyone could stay after we turn this off just for a minute, I think that's it. Do we want to?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Just because Paul Ward was so concerned about water going under Route 80 and catch basins and all that, I called the guy who's the engineer for I think he's in Oneonta, about what the Department of Transportation does for that, which is, he explained to me how they look at the cisterns that are of different size. But the long and short of it is that there's virtually absolutely no environmental concern about what they're doing. And I talked to Christos and I had a conversation about this before this guy called me, but said they only care about the emergency vehicles can go down the road, that the trucks can go down the road, that the private cars are safe, and that basically they're all safe, and that's where it ends. So the pursuit of trying to get the Department of Transportation to do anything about the catch basins and all that is not going to be likely to get any help in that.
All right.
Whatever that's worth.
Actually, I can't ask people to say it's not legal. All right, so I think the meeting is over unless there are anything else that didn't get said or not. Okay, please turn your mics up.
Yeah, I've got to run too.